Hello, everyone. Alright, I'm going to get started then. There's 7 people in here. We're going to start with, first of all, Kyle. I'm Kyle. Welcome to the State of the Franchise. For today, we have the Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos, Vikings, Titans, Niners, Falcons, and the Washington football team. So we're going to start with the Raiders. Start with Twinkie and the Raiders. Welcome back, Twinkie, first of all. There's always news here, Sam. You just gotta wait till the end. We don't give them away for free. So let's. Twinkie finished the season at 4-12. So guaranteed at least the number 3 pick, maybe the number 2. So, looking at Twinkie's picks, he's got Detroit's first this year, a third, extra third. So he's got all his picks plus an extra first and a third, which is really nice for him. Not good for the rest of us because Twinkie's really good at drafting. So I don't think that he's got the quarterback of the future on the roster. It's a good thing that this is a very heavy quarterback class for Twinkie that he can take advantage of. I would imagine with it being Chiefs, Raiders, and Vikings. No, I mean, you can always get more 7s, Twinkie. That's the easy part. So I imagine that Twinkie will probably end up taking quarterback in that top 3 spot. Who it ends up being, we'll see. But it's got the 89 elusive back on the team. So Superstar X Factor, the I guess you gotta roll with this guy since Travis decided for some reason to trade away Josh Jacobs. I mean, the good thing is Twinkie has an extra first and a third. The bad thing is the Lions are in the playoffs, so and a really good team. So fullback doesn't matter. Weaver and Ruggs is about as deadly a duo as you could have at wide receiver. That 99 and that 97 speed. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown's pretty good. Twinkie doesn't really need receivers. I think Weaver, now that Twinkie's here, Weaver should get some love finally. I mean, he's had a rough first 2 seasons in the league, but I think that all changes with Twinkie taking over this team. Tight end Waller. I mean, Twinkie must have just re-signed him, so obviously he's not going anywhere. Dude had a great season. 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then, I mean, even Brevin Jordan's pretty good. This rookie's whatever, but I don't think Twinkie needs to do anything at tight end. Oof. This is where it starts to get ugly. Left tackle, Colton Miller. Oh, really? He re-signed. Okay. He actually made a move. Fair. I don't. Hudson could be a guy who Twinkie could look to trade because there is just not a lot of, like, I mean, you have nobody at right guard, nobody really at left guard. Left tackle is a position of need. So Twinkie could look completely different with 5 new outside of maybe Trent Brown, who I don't think you can really move easily for at least the next year. So I think that offensive line will definitely be a place where Twinkie looks to improve. Riosu's great. Crosby's fine. I don't think Twinkie would move on from Crosby. I know he won't move on from Riosu, so he's got that locked up. Again, these guys look like they were just signed, so probably not moving on from DTs. Holland is it's got to be a legacy player because I don't know him. Probably not worth keeping around, but McMillan's fine. Yeah, Twinkie's going to need some linebackers. Corners. Aaron Paul has been really good. The CPU did Twinkie a favor taking this dude in the first round. 4 interceptions. Get out of there. Oh, Holland was locked. Okay, that makes. I was wondering. I was like, so yeah. So he's got Aaron Paul. He could look to add here. He's gonna need to get better at safety. Yeah, this is bad. But like I said, Twinkie's got 3, 4, 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, which is huge for him. Like I said, quarterback, definitely an area of need. Offensive line, definitely an area of need. Linebacker, especially since he's locked out of signing Holland. So he'll need some outside linebackers. You know, he's got one good corner, and the rest probably need to go. Same with the safeties. He's got nobody there. This guy might have been able to be something if anybody would have dev'd him. But he's in a rough spot. But looking at the salary situation, I'm fairly certain Twinkie's going to end up having 140 plus million in salary free, so that'll help. I mean, he could re-sign McMillan. I don't think he'll re-sign Rosen. Colton Miller should be gone. Cameron Dantzler's been tragically underused in this Madden. So he's got a path to a ton of cap space. So this team's going to look completely different next season. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe not next season. Find my hair. It wouldn't surprise me if Twinkie's team is in the playoffs in 2 seasons. Maybe not next year. I think maybe next year is a little early, but for sure within 2 seasons, I would say Twinkie will be in the playoffs. So if Twinkie has any questions for me, or anybody in the chat has any questions about the Raiders, I will take them before moving on to the Chiefs. I can just roll you right now, Twinkie. A lock for next year. I like the confidence. It wouldn't surprise me. Oh, can't do that though. Gotta. Reset. All right. Since there are no questions and I have spun for Twinkie, uh, we can move on to the Chiefs. Twinkie will be forced to pay Henry. Well, he just repaid Henry Ruggs, so what did he end up giving him? Damn, that's huge. All right, so moving on to the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Fenwick joined last offseason and added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 picks in the top 64 of the draft, and he's got 3 of the top 8 picks as it stands right now. Drew Lock will not be the quarterback next season, if I was to guess. He 9 and 10 touchdowns, 45 sacks. He only played like 8 games, I think. 12 games. I know Fenwick's not a huge fan of Edwards-Helaire, so that guy probably isn't coming back next season. I would imagine. Fullback is whatever. Again, a nice duo of receivers here. 99 speed for both of them. Yeah, so he's got a pretty good receiving group. And a ton of picks, but as Twinkie said, he's a terrible drafter. He's got Daniel Spade, who was okay this year, I think. Yeah, no touchdowns, but at least he's getting playing time, unlike when he was in New York, so that's good. He doesn't believe in offensive linemen, so expect this to be about the same group next season. Breeland speaks. He could get better at the edges, maybe a little bit more. He runs the 3-4, so a little bit more bulk there than these two guys. Noddy is fine. This is where he really, he traded for Quincy Roach in the Mahomes trade. He's got Kevin Roach was really good last season. Would have been all rookie if Paul would have streamed enough games. But this guy, Kelvin Mobley, is an absolute monster. Had 17.5 sacks. Willie Gay should move to middle linebacker, probably. That's his more natural position in a 3-4. So hopefully he can get moved and keep the same X factor and whatnot. But it really looks like right here, these ends need to get a little bit better. They're just not that big. Breeland Speaks is fine, but he could be going much heavier to be better against the run. Hines, Igbenagi are good. Farley. So he's got a bunch of young guys that he can build this secondary around. And, he can let Charvarius Ward walk. Brandon Jones, I imagine he would sign him back after trading for him. Taylor Rapp, he obviously signed long term. I doesn't need a kicker, punter, doesn't matter. So, but I mean, it really comes down to what does he do with these picks. If Twinkie's not going to take a quarterback, let me then I think he's got to. Then it falls on Fen to take one. But he should go quarterback and then focus on, if I was him, focus on building that defensive line with these other picks and maybe finding a running back that he prefers to Edwards-Helaire. But realistically, he can do whatever with these picks and still be good because he does have an extra first next year and an extra third next year. So he's doing fairly well with what he's got. Yeah, so if there are any questions about Fenn, if not, I'll move on to the Broncos. I won't spin for the Broncos yet, but... Twinkie... how do you spell that dude's name? Before I... I'll fucking fight you, Sam. I'll fucking fight you. Okay, moving on to the Broncos. Let's take a look at the number 5 seed in the playoffs. 5 or 6, I'm not 100% sure. No 2, but an extra 5 for them. That's it. Okay, I knew it was 5 or 6. I wasn't sure since Phil won. Justin Fields got another year to decide whether he wants to pay Justin Fields or not. Hopefully, some things that the 6th seed is probably the Ravens. Then I would imagine. Oh, are you going to use the 5th year option? Okay. All right. So 2 more years to decide. So hopefully some changes that we'll announce later today will help Justin Fields, who hasn't been bad. Not great, but not bad. 25 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Did take 61 sacks. The field general strong arm archetype is not helped him. I mean, this guy should be rushing for several 100 yards a season with 85 speed. I like the De'Aaron King backup. De'Aaron King's not a bad player. Sean probably should have kept him around. I think this running game is all about Master Teague. Going forward, obviously, in the playoffs, it's going to have to be about Alexander Madison. But it's not bad. It's not a bad duo with Teague and Madison. They complement each other pretty well. Oh. Yeah, Teague has been awesome for him. I have my doubts. But 5.8 yards per carry and 16 touchdowns. That's really nice. Fullback again. I don't care about fullbacks. Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, KJ Hamler. That's a really nice trio of wide receivers there. Didn't have to do anything there. Noah Fant's a fine tight end. Doesn't have to be the key piece, but is good enough to... Oh, Jesus. As I step on my... But it's good enough to to exploit matchups when given the opportunity. Yeah, definitely not like the number one guy you're going to go to, but definitely a really nice number 4. Alberto is a fine backup. Same with Rudy Michaels. Deion Dawkins, I'd imagine, is going to stay with this team. Dalton Reisner's nice. Lloyd Cushenberry, not bad. I mean, this is a fine offensive line. He doesn't really, like, the only thing maybe you look at is Graham Glasgow's getting a little old. And he doesn't really have a backup to him. Same thing with Taylor Decker. So that's a spot where he could look to get younger, but otherwise he's got 3 solid starters and 2 guys who are getting older. Bradley Chubb, a stud. Didn't have to worry about that. Aaron Donald, also a stud. The only problem is he's getting older, and I don't know how long his contract is for. Take a look real quick. So after next season, he's got to make a decision on whether he wants to bring Donald back. Devin Tuitt's nice, like really good. And I like Tyler Shelvin in that draft. I really wish I would have been able to get him. Christian Wilkins is whatever. That's a nice depth piece there. DeAndre Farr, star dev, so that's nice. A little old for a second-year guy. Michael Kendricks. Alexander Johnson was a good player. Just getting too old now. Blackwell's stud. I mean, really right now, like, you could make the argument that the only, like, position of need for Brendan right now is corner and a couple pieces on the offensive line. AJ Bouye's old. J.C. Jackson's all right, but getting a third or like a getting another corner, maybe like a young guy to dev with. I didn't see this dude, so maybe not. So never mind. This is a really like solid roster from top to bottom. Not a lot of holes here. If I was him, I would focus on adding a couple pieces to that offensive line to help Teague explode more, and maybe just one more corner just to have like 3 guys who are, you know, younger, and because at 25, Mullen's he's only a couple years away from hitting that that level where they start to regress, really. So, because he'll be 26 in the off season. So, Brendan, do you have any questions about or anything? We'll see, Twinkie. Why did Phil suck? I mean, I was gonna answer that on the later pod, but I mean, Phil sucked because he doesn't have the app, or he just downloaded the app. He's a CM who didn't have the app. And you know, he's just Phil. He's kind of the worst. So bold of you to assume Philip would be in here. All right, if that's all the questions for that, let's move on to the Vikings. Oof. Twinkie, you might want to cover your eyes for this one, man. This is gonna be rough. All right. Oh. Somehow this Vikings team beat the crap out of the the Raiders, probably because they're so all right. Aries Cohen is probably the worst quarterback. He's got star dev, so there's that. But he's definitely one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in NFL GM history, and I've seen all of them. So, 53 times sacks, 11 and 24, which is an improvement. At one point, he was 3 and 18. So, this dude's ugly. You know, I don't understand if you're in this position why you're re-signing Dalvin Cook to or why Dalvin Cook signed for 3 more years. He should probably be trade bait. But again, nobody's going to trade for him because there's too many good running backs. Max Harris and Justin Jefferson, even Deontay Johnson, that's a nice trio. He doesn't have to worry about wide receivers, just finding a guy who can throw it to him. Kyle Rudolph shouldn't be on this team anymore. Max Williams shouldn't be on this team. It should be nothing but young guys with as bad as this team has been. Charleston is a nice left tackle. No, I can't, honestly. At least I had a playoff run before I, let's not talk about Doug GM Vikings in here. I'm saddled with John Davidson, so, F-line, trash, Garrett. Hey, I know. Bradbury trash. Ezra Cleveland is fine. Brian O'Neill is okay. Danielle Hunter hasn't done anything in this league as far as I can remember his best season. I said he was fine. He's alright. Yeah, I mean, dude has only had 1 double-digit sack season. I probably wouldn't have paid him 53. Yeah, he's trash. Oh, I said trash about Bradbury? Yeah, he's trash. Fuck Garrett Bradbury. I guess he's an 84. Never mind. He's alright. I'm just really hung up about Danielle Hunter making $22 million next season off of 8 sacks this season. He traded away Yannick, which was a good move. He's got to get younger here. Keenan Harris did a really good rookie season, though, so he had 8 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. I don't know why D Ford is on this team. Anthony Barr should be gone. Chet Shepard's nice, but he's about the only piece on this, him and Palalali. I don't know how to say that guy's name, but yeah. Dominique Thomas is also pretty nice. So, I mean, he's got a few nice linebackers, but he's paying Ford and Barr for whatever reason. Mike Hughes is good. Holden Hill is fine. Jeff Gladney has been seriously underdeveloped in this league, and it hurts me. I don't know why Gladney's still on the roster if you're not, you could just pay Kyrie Vincent less money and just have him, and you could have used Gladney as a trade piece instead of re-signing him. Caden Stearns has been a disappointment. Drafted in the top of the 2nd round and just really hasn't done anything for 3 seasons. Tony Jefferson, he needs to get younger at safety. this team has a lot of holes in it that need to be addressed, but most glaringly, again, as with the Raiders and the Chiefs, it's at quarterback. And as someone who has needed a quarterback for the Vikings, good luck. Hopefully the guy you take is good enough. It's going to be interesting to see what the new slider changes that we'll announce later will do for strong arm and field generals, because that's the guy who's the early ground grade. So I don't think Vikings is around. So I'll spin for him. Oh, damn it. I fucked up. And I'll move on to the Titans as I post this. Okay. All right. Moving on to the Titans, who won the AFC South, at 9-7. So finally, after several seasons, we finally have a winner of the AFC South who has a winning record, actually. I said the wrong thing. I corrected. Julian Osborne ended up being a lot better than I think a lot of people probably would have thought. 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, only took 57 sacks, which is nice for a strong arm field general. Yep, the Matt Ryan veteran presence. That's what he said he had him there for. Derrick Henry is signed for the next 4 years, I think. I think that's what I saw last. So 4 more seasons of Derrick Henry at a reasonable rate, about $8 million. So signed through his 34-year-old season, or into his 34-year-old off season. So, don't need to do anything there. Maybe find another young running back to be a backup. Anthony Schwartz was gotten in a trade with the Saints, and just exploded with 12 touchdowns. Not putting up a lot of yards, but the 12 touchdowns is really nice. Considering Sam didn't play him at all, we know who the superior GM is. It's definitely Jeremy. Corey Davis is an 88 superstar. Keon Crockett was drafted and I think missed most of this year, honestly, yeah. Has been out since week 1 or 2, yeah. Yeah, Sam a bum, I agree. Without a doubt. It's not even close, Sam. This is a really nice receiving trio here, and even adding in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the speed on this this offensive receiving core is insane. He's got Jonnu, doesn't really need to do anything at tight end. Could you add a backup, I guess, because these guys are kind of, old, obviously, with Eifert and Matt Bushman, I think is his name. Offensive line is not great. Luon's good, but then everywhere, and Laufenberg is good, but nobody else is really that good. He could use some players on offensive line, definitely a center, and maybe a right tackle. Harold Landry is really good. Marcus Davenport, also sneakily pretty good. Could use somebody in the middle since he let Jeffrey Simmons walk, but hasn't been a problem. Von Miller's probably getting close to retirement age, so he's going to have to find a replacement for him. Jayon Brown has been really, really good, so nothing that he needs to do there. Same with Rashaan Evans. Adoree Jackson and Kristen Fulton are fine. Same with Aubrey Thomas. Jackson's been good, but after them, it's a whole bunch of nothing. So he needs to find probably an actual number 2 corner so that Fulton and Aubrey can be just slot guys. Kevin Byard is amazing, but getting older, so he's gonna have to start looking for a younger replacement there. Von Bell, if he keeps him around, is serviceable. Nothing great there, but nothing terrible. Kicker and punter I don't care about. And he doesn't have a third, but he has an extra fourth. So, I mean, looking at this team, I think you keep rolling out Osborne going forward. You look for a guy to maybe replace Darrington Evans as a backup. Just in case anything. I don't think if Henry gets hurt, you want to run out Evans as your starter. And then a center and probably a right tackle, and DT. But otherwise, you see if Von Miller retires. If he doesn't, then you maybe throw the tag on him a second year in a row and run it back, because this team vastly outperformed what I thought they would do in the AFC South. Jesus. So, yeah. And we have the Niners and Logan next, and then only 2 teams after that. So I'll wait if anybody has any questions for me about anything else to do with the Titans. Oilers were better, you are correct. Okay. Alright, then we will move on to the 49ers. Alright. Brock Purdy is the quarterback. I don't think Logan has been happy with how Brock Purdy has played. Ever since Chris left, his numbers in the passing game have gone up, but everywhere else they've gotten worse. As far as like interceptions and whatnot, and rushing, he was a fairly good rusher that first year. But Purdy's at least got next season to prove to Logan that he's the guy. That's the wrong button. He traded for ETN. I had not paid attention to how good ETN had been this season. I think ETN's a guy who's going to be in between 1050 and like 1350 rushing, and maybe if he gets lucky, put up double-digit rushing touchdowns. I think that's kind of his ceiling here. Juszczyk, probably the only fullback that matters. He's got a nice receiving core. I mean, he's got 5 guys who could all probably start on most teams. I think Robinson is signed for like 2 more seasons. Oh no, only this season. Never mind. For some reason I thought he had re-signed him. So even if he lets Robinson go, he still would have Samuel and Ayuk, who I think are serviceable as starters, and even Bourne isn't bad. If he doesn't sign Robinson, this could be a spot to like look for a young guy to get taken, but I doubt it. George Kittle, top 5 tight end statistically in our league, so not much that he needs to do there. Dude's going to be a monster for the next 5 seasons in Madden. So, uh, Zion Johnson is fine at left tackle. You could do better, but you could also do a lot worse. Mike McGlinchey is a stud. Lindenbaum is probably the long-term guy at center since he's only 22 now. So, same with Jarrett Patterson. And Penny Sewell is one of the best young right tackles, so he doesn't have to do anything on the offensive line this offseason. Same with defensive line, unless he decides to move on from Bosa or Crawford, but I would doubt it. Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw are a really good DT combo. Bernie, Warner are really, really good duo at linebacker. You could use a third guy for the other outside linebacker spot, but since Madden plays nickel most of the time, that third linebacker spot really doesn't matter. This is where I think he's got the most work to do because these guys are at regression age, so he needs to find a number one corner who's younger. I don't think it's Nolan Baldwin. That could be a spot he looks in this draft. Geno Stone's fine. He could keep Geno Stone around. I like Stone as a safety, especially when you have a guy like Kyle Garland who came in and just was amazing as a safety. His rookie year, this is one of only 2 X factors who've been picked in the league so far. Garland's an absolute stud. And he even has a backup guy who's also young. So, looking at his draft picks, he's got 13. I don't know if that'll actually stick, but all his picks. So, for me, it's corner and maybe receiver are the early things he needs to take. Everywhere else, he has really, really good players. So, I'm not super concerned about Logan going forward. Especially, I think Logan has a chance through patience to just kind of take over this NFC West with Russell Wilson on the last year of his contract, Roy frustrated with his team. Corb, has talked about trading away Jalen Hurts, but I don't think he will. So it could come down. It could end up being a Niners-Rams division if the other teams don't hold the course also. So, yeah, if there are any questions about the Niners, I'll take them. If not, we'll move on to the Falcons. I guess I could spin for the Niners, too. I mean, if you're both unhappy about it and you guys think that's a trade that you'd want to make, I don't think that it's a bad trade for either side. If you guys think that the other can do better in your system with your players, like, I wouldn't be against that trade at all. I think it's very realistic. All right. Move on to the Falcons. Falcons have the number 2 pick. They also added one from Cincinnati and Baltimore to replace their 2 and their 3. And then they have the rest of their picks. They traded for Tua. Haven't re-signed him yet. I think they need to, this season, tag Tua and then see if new sliders help Tua perform better than he has in the past. That's just my personal opinion about what he should do. Um, Teddy was fine. Medrano is whatever, but Tua, if Tua is the guy you think for the future, you have to tag him and at least see what he can do next season. He's got 3 running backs who he's drafted in the last 3 seasons. He's fine at running back. Please don't take another one, Oscar. I really like Barker. I also really liked Puka Williams too. Monty Burton was his pick last year. Still a normal dev. That hurts. But I mean, he's got Ridley. Nobody should do that, Pode. Nobody should do that. Freiermuth is one of the best young tight ends that we've seen, so unfortunately got hurt this season, or he probably would have had a case for an all-pro team. Matthews is getting old, so you might want to look to move on from him. Chuma Edoge is terrible. Matt Hennessy's fine. He's really good, actually, for a young guy, or pretty good for a young guy. Chris Lindstrom's really good for a young guy. And McGarry is whatever. I would probably be starting Spencer Rogers if I was him. But Matthews and Edoge should probably hit the block. Should probably not be on the team next season. Fowler is good in this league. Better than he ever will be in real life. Oh, did not know he had a superstar end. Let's see what he did this season. A whole lot of nothing, really. That's fine. He also drafted Walt Hooker, who had a really nice season as a rookie, so that's nice. Deion Jones is a tackling machine. Alukun is good. Needs a third linebacker, but again, if Madden only runs nickel for the most part, so the third linebacker doesn't help any except with like a better overall. Trey Cross and Joe Meadows make a pretty decent 1-2. AJ Terrell's fine. He drafted a superstar last year? Okay. Or 2 years ago? Okay. No interceptions yet, but that's fine. Hooker and Blow. So I mean, he doesn't need to look at anything here. As far as corners go, he's pretty good. Probably needs a safety, unless he really believes in... definitely needs 2 safeties here. So I think for Oscar, it's bringing back Tua for at least a year, finding replacements at offensive line for these 2 guys, and finding replacements for these safeties this offseason. Now, whether he does that through the draft or through free agency, that remains to be seen. But that's what I would do if I was Oscar, and if he wants to compete with Sam, Kevin, and Larry in the NFC South. Go ahead. So if there are any questions about Oscar's team, I will gladly take them. Apparently Oscar's a giant racist, so... according to the wheel, not actually, but just according to the wheel. All right. Well, I can move on to the last team of the day, the Washington football team, who are still conveniently slotted in where the R words would be. Rebel doesn't have a second or third this season. Brian Sharp's been really good. He doesn't have to do anything at quarterback. He's got 46-year-old 72 Tom Brady. Alvin Kamara, he could use a backup here. I don't think Antonio Gibson is as good in Madden as he has been in real life. Doesn't need to do anything at receiver. He's got 3 really good ones, 98, 97, 96 speed, so that does a lot for him. He's got Njoku. Again, getting kind of older, so if he wanted to look for a replacement for Leno, that makes sense. Deontay Brown's good. Jensen is good. Brandon Scherf is good. Mitchell Schwartz is good. So realistically, it's just this one spot where they're getting old and they're not like at that high level. Because like 90 and 89, like Mitchell Schwartz might retire, but I doubt it. We've talked about this offensive line or this defensive line a lot. Montez, Chase, Allen, and Payne are the best front four in the league, and probably will be for another 4 or 5 seasons if Rebel can figure out how to keep them all together. So, Cox got superstar dev. That's nice for him. Still has a superstar Reuben Foster. I mean, you can disagree all you want. The numbers. Do I want to rephrase what? I don't know. No, I don't. I still think it's the best front four in the league. Despite what your team did one year, I'm going to take the team that's done it for 3 straight seasons. I mean, yeah, that's nice. It stat-wise doesn't stack up against what Washington did. Like, I just... Right. Montez Sweat has more sacks over the last 4 seasons than anybody else. He has 17.5 this season. Like, yeah, this season was down. Or 19.5 this season. Young still had... This was Young's worst season. I really hope he was hurt for all of it, or else this is not looking good for him. He played all the games. I don't know why. I mean, he had 21 sacks last season. This was also, I think, his worst season. But I still would take these guys because Young and Sweater, super young. Donald is 32. Like... That's your opinion. My opinion is I'd rather have the younger guys on the football team. But back to this, he's got 3 superstar linebackers, so he doesn't have to do anything there. Kendall Fuller, Ronald Darby is good. He's good there. Landon Collins, John Abraham. So he's fine at all these spots. Realistically, this team struggled due to injury this season. Sharp was on his way to a really good, like, he played, I think it was 14 games, 15 games. So he was going to pass his number. The only problem was he did throw a bunch more interceptions this season. Yes, it probably was. He did take less sacks. We need to pay attention to that this offseason. So if I'm him, I'm looking to add at left tackle to replace that, and maybe right tackle if Schwartz retires. But otherwise... he is going to fall, like, Collins and Dix are going to regress. So, I mean, if there are any questions about the Washington team before I finish up, hopefully we get the last game in here soon. And we can move on to the playoffs and the All-Pro, All-Rookie team. So, I'm going to hop off here, guys, and upload this to YouTube with timestamps. Sam and I will be back sometime this afternoon to do the pod, the All-Pro, All-Rookie. You still got time to send in questions. Thanks, everybody who already has. So, yeah. We'll talk to you guys later.